For most of the years I was in prison, we didn't have air conditioning, so when it got hot, it got really hot. So I spent most of that time soaking wet. This is the only way to stay cool, because we could buy these 12-inch electric fans. If we were in the cell, we could have the fan blowing on us, or in the pod, they had big fans on the walls. So what I would do is I would soak my shirt, or I would soak my shorts, boxers and all, because if they were soaking wet and air flew by it, it would cool down that area. So when I went to bed at night, I would soak my shorts, I would put them back on, soaking wet, I would get in bed and have the fan blow directly on me, because it was one of the only ways to stay cool. Then when I was going to the Chow Hall, I would take my button-up shirt and I would soak it in as cold a water as I could get. I'd put it on, and by the time I got over to the Chow Hall, it was starting to get dry. And after 5 minutes or 10 minutes sitting in that burning hot Chow Hall that also had no air conditioning and had a bunch of people packed in it, it was bone dry. So I would walk back and I was usually sweating by that point. It was like no longer wet because of water, it was wet because of sweat, because all the water had evaporated. So we had to get really creative and try to figure out ways to stay cool. I also used to do my dunk tank, so we had these plastic foot lockers. So I would empty all my stuff out and I would just fill it up with water and I would just sit down in it. And one time we did have an officer come by and say he was going to give me a charge, and I was like, give me all the charges you want. Like, this is the only way to not be miserable. And I get it, because that officer was walking around the pod doing rounds, checking all the cells, and there was no air conditioning in that pod. So he was equally miserable, while his partner, the other person on post, was in the booth that did have air conditioning. So he was just mad, and he wanted to take it out on somebody. So he wanted to take it out on me because I was sitting down in my little foot locker trying to stay cool. But again, we had to do whatever we could. And there were ice machines, so there was the possibility of getting ice, but it would often run out really quickly, and it wasn't like it lasted a long time. You'd only get it when the doors were open. A lot of times we were locked in the cell for night or for count time or just for lockdown for long periods of time. During that, it didn't matter that there was an ice machine. And also, you didn't want to be in the cell near the ice machine because it put off so much heat. So yeah, you could walk right out and grab ice, but standing next to that thing or even like coming in the cell door, it was just miserably hot.